March 8th, 1955, Larry Gatlin, Steve Gatlin, Rudy Gatlin show up at the Cavalcade of Talent at Hardin-Simmons University. Your first public appearance. You're back in Abilene this weekend. Talk about coming back home. Larry, we'll start with you.
That March 8th night, I remembered. I don't really think the boys do. I do remember. And we sang this little song. I woke up
this morning feeling fine. I woke up with heaven on my mind. I woke up with joy in my soul, 'cause I knew my Lord had control. I knew I was walking in that light, 'cause I'd been on my knees in the night. I prayed till the Lord gave a sign, and now I'm feeling mighty fine.
And we walked away with this.
How about that? You still have it all this time. Mom held on to it, huh?
Mom held on to it.
And then
First award, Cavalcade of Talent.
And they got started. You won the Cavalcade of Talent at Hardin-Simmons, the Rose Field House, and then you show up shortly later with Slim Willett, and you're here in the KRBC studio where you all appeared live on TV back in the day.
Right here.
Talk about coming back home.
Our Aunt Nell was the parliamentarian or the enforcer or something at a gig with the Blackwood Brothers and Statesmen at Rose Field House. At intermission, when James and them went out to sell records out in the lobby, our Aunt Nell, who lived on Shelton Street over the other side of Abilene High, she walked up to James Blackwood and kind of buttonholed him, you know. She said, I got 3 little nephews, can outsing all of y'all. And you need to put them on the second half of this show. And James Blackwood put us up there. And we started singing. Rudy had to stand, he had to stand on an old Dr. Pepper box from the Dr. Pepper plant, which we lived right behind, to get to the microphone. And on the last note, now I'm feeling mighty fine, like that, and he falls back. The first thing that hit the stage was the back of his head. The boy ain't been right since. And Slim Willett, or somebody with Slim Willett's show, was at, do y'all know this?
Yes.
Was at that show that night.
Yes.
And the next day, he called Mama, and the next Wednesday night, we were right here.
Wasn't it that he had a gospel song or something on every one of his shows, and we did the gospel song?
Maybe that was it.
That
sounds right. That sounds right.
Because I remember going to the studio, and the incredible huge lights and bugs walking across the floor, or what was.
Well, they did then.
Yeah, and they weren't like they would throw Rudy nickels and dimes, and he'd chase them, off camera because he didn't know any different. But that's what I remember from it. The Slim Wood, that part of it is singing the gospel song on his
I think
TV
you're
show.
right. I think you're right.
Here's the program, and I sent the picture to you. 3rd annual Cavalcade of Talent Contest, Rose Field House, Abilene, Texas. Johnny Harper was the director. Produced by Eagle Orchestra and Band Booster Club, March 8th, 1955. Master of Ceremonies, Pat Ketilson. And then it's got Lynn Johnson, Slim Willett, and Sterling Price. I think they were the judges.
Well, Lynn Johnson worked at KWKC Radio, and of course Slim was with KRBC Radio. So those were 2 of the media people at the time. That was a big deal back in those days.
That's where he first saw us, I guess.
I thought it was later, read in the paper, somebody told him about it, then our sister sent me this.
No, he signed us to a multi-week contract there that night.
But it was actually every other week, because we only did
He only did it every other week. That's right. Wasn't that right?
That's right. Every other Wednesday night for 2.5 years.
For a couple of bucks or
$10.
$10.
$10 back in the 50s was a lot of money.
Well, I got the $10. They never got any.
Well,
I thought it was a dime. I got a dime.
No, okay.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I got the $10.
Okay, there's another part of this that I don't think you guys remember. What is the radio station out toward Buffalo Gap, that a radio or TV station, where there was a bakery? No. The children's home, where the boys.
KWKC Radio.
Huh?
KWKC Radio.
There was an old gentleman. I don't know the proper term for it. I think they called them Messianic Jews. He was a Jewish man who had converted to Christianity, and that was his mission, was to work with his fellow Jewish people, and God's God, and He's going to take care of all that. We're not making that kind of statement. He paid us. He He started off paying us a dime.
I
No,
remember-
no, no. Pay us $1.
$1.
$1 a week. We'd go over there early Sunday morning. He started off paying us $1. Well, he came to Mom. We came there one time and he paid us a dime apiece. He said, I can see it now. He said, I've lost Sister Gatlin. I've lost one of my sponsors and I can't afford the $1. I can see it right now.
That
And it
was
was right across the street from that children's home,
Yeah,
right?
One dime.
Yeah,
Was it that on
KWKC.
Sunday morning?
Sunday morning
Yeah,
before
I
we
remember
went to
that. I remember
First
that.
Assembly of God Church over there on
Is First Assembly still here?
Brother Estes, remember?
Brother Estes. Is this
Yes,
still
it
here?
is.
First,
Yeah.
really?
You remember who was the piano player and organ player for that?
Gwen, it ended up being Gwen George. Don George's
Gwen
wife.
George. Don, our friend that we sang at his funeral.
You mean I was right?
He was from Plainview, that had Assembly of God Church.
Of course, in those
I
days-
told him one time, I said, I fell in love with your wife before you did. She was 14 and I was 7 or 8.
There you go. They had a great career for a couple of years here in Abilene, but then y'all had to move out to Odessa. Did Dad get a new job, or how did that happen?
Tell them.
Well, you've been around here long enough. You know about the oil business.
Yes.
Hey, we know that you can go out here anywhere within a 200-mile radius of here and punch a hole in the ground, and you got a pretty good chance of hitting something, you know. But Daddy worked here for Forey and Thomas Drilling Company. It later became Forey and Saxon. Bill Saxon, our dear friend, bought out. So we'd moved in over there on Westridge Street, first house in that little community, and lived there about 3.5 years. And one day, the first really sad day of my life was when I found out that R.W. Blackwood of the Blackwood Brothers, he and Bill Lyles, the bass singer, had been killed in an airplane crash over in Clanton, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't go to school for a couple of days. I said, how could God kill my hero? Mm-hmm. I didn't quite understand. I don't really understand it now, but I'm cool with it. I'm good with it. So one day, it just kind of played out around here for a while, and it moved west. So Dad had some friends, called him out there and got a job in Odessa. He came to get me. We went over to Bonham today, and of course it's all redone. It was sleeting sideways, and I knew what was coming because we talked about it at breakfast, and we were all getting. And I went to half a day of school, and Daddy came and got me. We walked out. You know those old schools where the roof goes like that, the little side, and the rooms are
right.
The A wing, and he walked me out where the old dumpster, where the garbage cans were, out at the side of that Methodist church is right there, you know, out what would be the west side
right.
of it. Walking down that hallway with that sleet blowing sideways and me leaving, I couldn't hold it. I was having to leave my dear old Abilene, having to leave my Abilene Eagles and having to leave Miss Erica Brown.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Oh.
Yeah, because you can imagine being kids
yeah.
thinking you're going to grow up to be an Abilene Eagle.
Devastating.
Well, at that time, 3 straight state championships,
yeah.
Chuck Mosier.
I had a black, a gold jersey with black letter, 21, that Glenn Gregory's number, that Mama had made for me out of sewing basket stuff. But you know, like I say, God has a way of figuring it all out.
See, I never went to school here. I started
Mm-hmm.
when we moved. That was what? Was that in April?
Well, in December, he took me out in December. We all moved to Olney with Granny and Papa.
And then
We had a
we
little
moved-
rent house. We moved there, stayed a couple of weeks. Daddy came and got you and LaDonna and Mama, and they moved to Odessa. He was living in man camps, and he finally found a little place. They didn't leave. They left me in Olney. They didn't want to move me, you know, again in school. Finally, y'all came back from Odessa here to Olney on Easter, and I just begged Mom and Daddy to take me back for the last 6 weeks, and they did. And our grandmother and they're wonderful, incredible people.
I never went to school there. I started in Odessa.
Yeah.
Rudy and I started in Odessa. Rudy's a year behind me.
I just know
That's
whenever
cool.
we pulled up to 3103 Eisenhower in Odessa, Texas, the first thing we did was start picking stickers, those goat heads. It was a dead of winter, but those goat heads were still.
Still out there.
Well, they were
You know those
frozen.
things you could have go ahead sticker
Oh.
fights?
Oh yeah.
Woo!
Hey, you want to get those old boys in Guantanamo tell you everything, threaten to walk in, run them barefooted up that block for those goat heads. They'll make up stuff about their mom. Oh, don't make me run him. Mama's over there.
Oh, they won't.
The general's over there in the big hat. Well, I
They
don't know.
won't
where
act
they're
up anymore.
Once you got out to Odessa, of course, you played high school football. Did y'all play football for OHS as well?
Yes, we just didn't. Larry ended up going to University of Houston after that, so that's why people know a little bit. But I'm 3 years younger than Rudy, and then Larry. Then Rudy's a year behind me. But we played football, baseball. Football and baseball were really the two sports that we played most
we
of
didn't
all.
run a lot of track, didn't play a lot of basketball.
No.
When I got to the University of Houston, somebody, a sportscaster, asked Coach Yeoman, said that Gatlin kid from Odessa, he has deceptive speed, doesn't he? Coach Yeoman said, yeah, he's a hell of a lot slower than he looked.
That's Yeoman.
People would tackle in front of me thinking I was going to be there,
I'm glad I played football and baseball because I had older brothers that played, and if you had any athletic ability, you played football.
Oh.
But I had the annual staff my senior year. I had to cover the golf team, do the pictures, do the copy. So I go out to Odessa Country Club. Billy Carson, Jimmy Rayner, and Bubba McKee, the rich guys, the doctors' kids, were out there playing golf. I'm going, what do y'all do out here? Well, we just play golf and drink Coca-Colas and look at the cute girls in the pool. What? 3 hours a day? I'm getting the crap beat out of me? You're doing what? This ain't right.
Did you turn in your helmet for a
No,
putter?
heck no. Well, the football season was over, and this was like in the spring. But,
Oh, Lord.
oh, it's too late. No, I
Even
wasn't
though
smart
you're
enough to
involved in
quit.
high school sports, you were still singing, I guess, out there in Odessa.
Oh, good Lord.
That was one of the things that was always very hard because we would try to go sing in churches on Saturday and Sunday, and then that's when we were playing football and sports and athletics. So there was always that tug between whether or not we go to a concert or whether we play sports. So that was music and athletics.
Well, we're
That's
all
what we
pretty
grew
good
up.
athletes, but we're a heck of a lot better singers than we are.
What was
You
the
know,
big break to get the singing career going on the national level?
I was in law school at the University of Houston, and a friend of ours, a lady named Ruby Campbell, who had a gospel family group, I went over to her house one time. I had written a song with a guy named Larry Goss of the famous Goss family, Goss Trio from Atlanta. We'd written this song, and he'd produced a record of it on another friend of ours, Roger McDuff, old gospel singer, and I wanted to come hear it. He's going to play me the tape. So I went over to Ruby's house. We played it, and on my way out to go, I was in law school at that time in Houston, on my way out to go get in my Flying Nun shirt and Little Lord Fauntleroy breeches to go be a waiter at Steak and Ale on the Gulf Freeway. On my way out to go do that, she said, Larry, said, you need to know. Said the Imperial, Roger Wiles is leaving the Imperials, and they're out in Vegas with Elvis. They're going to need a baritone singer. You ought to call them about that.
Vegas.
My
Elvis?
life changed. I went home, called them, got in touch with Armand Morales, who we had known for years. I didn't know some of the other guys in the group, but I'd known him and I'd known Terry Blackwood. And he said, we don't really need anybody right now. I said, Joe, is all we're doing is, ooh, you ain't nothing but a hound dog, ooh, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. And Joe is singing the baritone part. He was the piano player. Said, if we need somebody, we'll talk about it and give you a call. So I went, did my waiter's gig, and I was telling all the guys, man, I may get to, I was most excited I've ever been. And about halfway through it, one of the waiters stuck his head out through the bartender stuck his head out through the service window.
Uh-huh.
They'd called, and he said, hey, Gatlin, Elvis is on the phone. Well, so of course it wasn't Elvis, but they said, when can you be here? I said, tomorrow. Well, this is a cool thing.
We'll be the judge of that.
Huh?
We'll be the judge of that.
Well, I think it's cool.
I'm just
You know what you can do, and it starts with I'm gonna.
I hope so.
So Janice was teaching school at Pasadena. What are you making, baby? $5,600 a year? Maybe. And I was getting waiter at Steak and Ale. At that time, we didn't put the money in the cash register. All the waiters kept their own bank. Those guys, 8 or 10 waiters, people in the bars, took up a collection from their tips that night.
To
He
get
gave
you
it to
Vegas?
me and sent me to Vegas the next day. As fate would have it, like I said, didn't get the job. They really had a guy they wanted, a guy named Greg Gordon. They wanted to hire him, but he was eligible for the draft. So Vietnam, so they didn't know. So when they kind of brought me in there, I didn't sing the Elvis show. I sang with Jimmy Dean, with them over at the Landmark, and in Phoenix over at the Phoenix Star Theater. And when Greg Gordon flunked his draft physical, they hired him and sent me home. It all worked out fine. It worked out fine. I'd met Dottie West. I'd written a couple of those songs, like I say, and you know, God's, that'll it's not a scripture, but it's the old saying, God laughs at man's plans. All I'd ever wanted to be was what Dwayne Allen, my dear friend, and we'd talked about out there when we were mashing pecans. Did I tell that story a while ago?
You did not.
Yeah.
Well, it was in the other little interview. Dwayne was a member of the Southern Airs Quartet, and he was a little older, and he was 19, I was 14. And at intermission one day, we went under this pecan tree and started mashing pecans, kicking them with our feet and talking about what we wanted to be. He wanted to someday take James Blackwood's place in the Blackwood Brothers, and I wanted to take Jake Hess's place in the Statesman Quartet, and that's what we are. The Oak Ridge Boys, the Gatlin Boys, we are gospel singers who God wanted to use in a different way, got a break in country music, and remembers the Opry. They're in the Hall of Fame. We might be someday. We're in some other, halls of fame. The Hall of Fame is the fact that people tomorrow night are going to pay their hard-earned money to do something we'd do for free. Sometimes we're not going to do it free tomorrow night, but on occasion, you can't make that up. Truth is stranger than fiction. All we ever wanted to be was that, and it worked. And we still sing gospel music. We're going to do a little extra tomorrow night. We always do some of it in the show, but our faith and our direction it's never wavered. Because His love and protection has never wavered toward us.
Did you think when all this got started that you would eventually be together 70 years later, singing?
I don't think we projected that long. I think we just thought about the next album and the next tour and however long that was going to necessarily last. But 70 years is a long time. Long time.
Well, it's the West Texas work ethic. I told him in there a while ago, I told Danny I was going to go to work one day with Daddy because he was short-handed, and they're going to have to make a trip. They're going to take all that pipe out of the hole, put all that pipe back in the hole. I said, Daddy, I'm going to go out there with you and work. He said, no, you're not. I work hard so you won't have to step on a drilling rig for us. I said, I'm going with you. He said, well, let me tell you how it's going to be. He said, if it's broke, fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke and you can't fix it, paint the So we'll bleep that, I'm sure. It's West Texas work ethic. Show up at the job, get your hands on something, and make the boss a good hand.
Make them a hand.
Make them a hand. So that we are grateful for that old Marine who's still a Marine in heaven.
I think the thing that, excuse me a minute.
Y'all good, baby.
I think the interesting thing that is about doing it 70 years. Larry and Rudy and I we have a couple of things that we agree on. Our God. Most of the time we agree on our music. But being as Larry writes the songs and then we all kind of produce the songs and then Rudy and I kind of mix afterwards and kind of, come out. And he doesn't write a bad song. He never writes a bad song. So we can never have him sing something to us and we say, that's lousy. But I know what a good song is. But we don't hear those because he makes them good before we ever hear
Thank you.
those particular songs. And so I think that part of, but we are different. We are three individual different people. Our God, mostly our politics, and after that, we have some real differences in the way we do things. So I don't think we're glued at the hip exactly the way people think, because we're three individual people that have our own ideas of something. We don't just follow along, together doing exactly the same thing all the time.
Well, the secret is, like he says, we are three individual people. We get together every now and then and play golf. We used to more on the road. The secret to this thing is believing there's a difference between a job and a calling. You know, hey, your calling might be to be a third grade teacher or a teacher. Your calling might have to wind up being a garbage guy or a waitress. You make the, and we believe that we have the calling of God to do this, and we give each other a lot of room.
One of the things that is very
Would you
important.
scoot over just a little bit?
We
You're kind
can't-
of crowded.
I can't do what Larry does. I can't write songs, but he can't do what I do. And I can't do what Rudy does from a technical standpoint. So there are certain things that we are all very good at that make it all
I was going
work.
to ask that. What talents that each one of you bring to the group?
Well, that's basically what I do. At the height of our career, we had 2 buses and an airplane and 18 people on the road, 15 people on the road and 4 people in the office. And we worked 250 days a year because that was a machine. You have to keep that going. Now we travel and it's just the 3 of us and our guitar player. And so everything, we all play instruments. So there's 4 instruments, but we sell vocals. That's what we do. When you come to a Gatlin concert, you're going to hear stories, but you're going to hear vocals. You're going to hear songs. That's what we do. But to get us there, I do all of our logistics, all of our dates. We have a booking agency, but I approve all of our dates. Rudy does the technical asset. We individually take certain things that we do, and that's what I'm saying. They can't do what I do.
You deserve a raise.
And you know, I
But
handle
you're in control of the money. Give yourself a raise.
So I'm going to give me a raise tomorrow.
There you go.
But you know what I'm saying? We have individual things that we do. I'll give y'all a raise. It's just not going to be as much as mine.
I got to tell you this. These guys, I tell people, last night, told the Opry, Charlie Mattis, our announcer, did a little songwriter portion. He said, this gentleman, Larry Gatlin's going to, member of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame, and he's going to sing his little solo, one of his favorite songs. I said, yeah, thank you. I said, here's why I'm in the Hall of Fame. Every time I sit down to write a song, in my mind's ear, not my mind's eye, in my mind's ear, I can hear that cowboy right there singing the low part. In this ear, I can hear that cowboy singing the high part. I wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame if it weren't for them, songwriter. Impossible. It would not have happened. One day, you remember when cell phones looked like walkie-talkies?
Oh, yeah.
John Wayne, hey, send bombs on hill number 3. You remember that? It was bigger than a bread box.
It was brick practically.
Well, that's what they were. So I'm playing golf with Vince Gill at Crockett Springs Golf Course. Janice and I live on that golf course. And this one called me. We were working on an album, and I had done a bunch of vocals. Had scratch vocals and didn't got the real vocal we were going to use. Sometimes we'll sing them all together, but rarely. I mean, we do it on stage, but in a recording, it's just a little different. I get this call. And he said, hey, said, you think every now and then you can sing kind of in tempo? You think you can kind of sing the first verse, second verse, a little bit like you sing the second verse?
Oh, they're not.
And like kind of hold things out? Said, a little syncopation's cool every now and then, a little spritzing. We're trying to, what song was it?
I don't know, but that's one of the reasons why people don't understand that. That's one of the reasons why when we record, Larry does his vocal first, all of his vocal. And he may do 3 or 4 passes of it, and then we'll pick and choose what we like of it. And when he's happy with his vocal, then Rudy does his vocal.
I was with Vince. We're on the golf course.
And then when Rudy gets his to Larry's, then I add mine. We never sing vocals together.
Really?
Well, the reason is because he will not phrase it the second chorus the same way he did the first one. No. So why should I learn it this way and then have to relearn it this way? And then if he sings it again and doesn't like it and comes back in the next day, he's going to sing them different again. So until he's happy with his vocal, there's no reason in us singing.
We are really 3 lead singers. These boys, we did it in there. Well, you'll do it again? Hey, watch this. And Rudy will sit in there till day after tomorrow, getting one line EQ'd and all that stuff. We did something for Danny a while ago. We'll show you how this works.
Okay.
We're going to sing our regular parts on one line of All the Gold. All the gold. Is that? All the gold. That's G. That's G. That's G. All the gold. Okay, ready? I'm going to sing. All the
key.
go
Pick a
G.
key.
We made a lot of money in the key of G. G.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, you're gonna sing the high
Yeah,
part.
we're
I'll
ready.
sing- Ready? One.
All the gold.
Okay, now you sing lead and I'll sing your part. Ready? One.
All the gold.
Could you tell the difference? No. Now you sing the lead and I'll sing your part. 1, 2.
All the gold.
You can't do it.
But if I would have sung, do it again. 1, 2.
All
All the gold. You know.
Okay, I'm quitting.
They can't
I'm
sing
quitting.
with me.
I don't have to take this.
So that's
I
what
don't
I'm
have to.
saying. No,
go
and
to
I'm
the
not,
next
I'm not
room and
saying
take
that.
it.
But he will phrase things. He writes them and sings them at home, and he phrases it one way, and he gets in the studio, and you feel different. It's just like when he sings his leads, he always has a guitar in his hand. He doesn't. He wants. We're not playing his guitar. He's playing it, but we're not taking it.
Yeah.
But that's the way he writes songs. That's the way he sings.
A lot of times I've turned it so I didn't want it to bleed or I'll turn it over.
He just wants it in his hand.
And just it
Oh.
feels differently.
because that's the way he
okay.
phrases.
When I went to Nashville and did my first demo, I had written these songs, and Dottie West got me out there and with Grady Martin, some of the greatest musicians, and got him out there. I wasn't going to play guitar on the session with Grady Martin there, who did da 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 da. That Grady Martin.
Yes.
Played every fill, on El Paso, and we listened to the playbacks, and it wasn't right. Grady took that Salem cigarette, and you remember people used to smoke them where like the ash finally had to drop off on its own accord because he smoked it. He was playing guitar, and finally it dropped off on his britches or the floor or something. He said, "Hey, Hoss, that ain't sounding like it was when you ran the song down for us and we learned it." I said, "I know, I can't figure it out." He said, "Go pick up your guitar." I said, "Mr. Martin, I can't play guitar in front." He said, "Go pick up your guitar, Hoss. That's the deal." And I picked up that guitar, and all of a sudden, the phrasing, the way when I wrote it, it was right. So we'll go do that. Every now and then we'll take part of it. It's been on the records. But sometimes I'll take an electric gut string, don't plug it in, don't turn it on, sit there and pluck it. It's different, and I'll phrase differently over that.
Well, particularly if he does a ballad.
Yeah.
If he does a ballad, because he'll get off into the zone.
Well, here's the difference. Like bitter they are, harder they fall. When I tried to do, if I tried to do it right now without the guitar, I'd go, "I told her to leave me alone. That I told her to leave."
We're going to turn your guitar on tomorrow night, huh?
Gentlemen, it's been great having you in this.
That really hurt me. I've really been
Hurt your feelings.
Do you know what Mama told me one time? She said, "He ain't really your brother. He's only a half." That's what Mama told me.
Well, now that hurts my feelings. No, wait a
I know
minute.
that's just not.
Anyway,
Lord,
I'm in show business.
I'm sorry.
Hey, he's trying to rap here, and you guys aren't helping out.
Lord, help him, Jesus.
Help him. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much.
I told you this could be the biggest mistake you've ever made.
You were right.
You're right.